make sure you tune in to today, all day, all football season long, for more great stories like these.
Last time I interviewed you, we were on Zoom, and I was literally in my garage.
And I was home. This is so much fancier. I actually like connecting with people. I like being a part of the world.
Kate Hudson is stepping back into the world in style.
Look at this pool. I think I'll go for a swim. Maybe I'll lay out for a bit. Being back doing comedy, this is where I'm happiest.
In Glass Onion, the follow-up to the hit 2019 whodunit Knives Out, written and directed again by Rian Johnson, Hudson plays a hilariously self-absorbed former model named Birdie J.
So obviously you're a fan of the first movie. I think most of us were. So when the phone rings or the email comes in that says, hey, Kate, they're interested in you for the next one, your reaction is?
Oh, I hope I get this part. I mean, I hope it's me. Usually there's the short list, you know, of like people write for parts, you hear about it. I was on that short list. He wanted to meet with me. And I remember reading it for the first time, Birdie J, and I was like, oh man, come on. Put me in, coach. Like, this is right up my alley. And again, going back to his writing, I read so much comedy. And like, it's always, somehow comedies, like they read a lot like sketches. You know, they're like situational comedy. Like, the device is funny, the situation is funny. But when you get a writer who knows how to write a character that earns the laugh, it's like a dream for, I think, anybody who loves to play comedic roles. And so I just kind of, you know, chanted a little bit, prayed to God, and went in and tried to charm the pants off of Rian. And it worked.
Clearly it worked.
Hello. Oh my God. We can't hug, right? I mean, can we?
There's something very familiar about Birdie J. She's not a person, but she's sort of a archetype of a kind of person.
She's a thing. She chooses to show up in a room to be seen. She chooses to open her mouth when she probably shouldn't. Say things to be seen. You look so cute. You really try. I like that. You really make an effort.
Well, I figured Grease.
The cast, just, oh my gosh. You go around that dining room table and you're just so excited that each of you is at the table. Catherine Hahn.
Are we even gonna talk about the elephant in the room?
Am I the elephant?
Yeah, you're the elephant.
You're not that bad. And Catherine and I to be reunited like that was honestly like one of the great joys of this experience for me, because she and I on How to Lose a Guy in 10 days just fell in love with each other. I mean, we just loved each other so much. And...
Hi. Oh, good morning, sunshine.
To see her career and how far she's come and how much like wisdom she now brings to her work, you know, from where we both started.
It was 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
Does that feel
I would say that goes fast, but it feels like 5 lifetimes ago. Like, why does this always happen to me?
So to come back here, did you have the same old relationship and the jokes and it was all
which is
still
the
there?
best feeling because you don't want people to change. You want them to grow, but not like change the essence of who they are. And I think we're both like that. Like, we haven't really changed much. We've just grown.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
How many of you were up there?
At least like 11.
How real is this going back to the moon? How you doing, Lester?
Good morning. Welcome to Today. I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
To have you along with us. We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
This is what it looks and feels like.
The bigger piece to the puzzle.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
How much water ultimately will be forced inland?
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now. Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe. NBC News, streaming free now. For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
Hudson's professional growth spurt started at 21 years old with a breakout performance in the 2000 classic Almost Famous.
You're too sweet for rock and roll.
Sweet?
The movie made Hudson famous and earned her nominations for both a Golden Globe and an Academy Award.
What do you think?
About the food or you?
Both.
Over the next decade, Hudson became one of Hollywood's most successful stars, with box office hits like the aforementioned How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, opposite Matthew McConaughey.
You call my bluff?
You bet I am.
Then there was You, Me, and Dupree.
Dupree? Live with us?
And Fool's Gold, pairing her again with McConaughey.
You know, PlayStation.
When she's not acting, the 43-year-old Hudson stays in motion with her successful activewear company, among others.
So today we're in the design studio.
You're running Fabletics. You've got vodka.
I've got vodka.
You've got In Bloom.
I've got 3 companies. I do a lot. I get so bored. Like, there's no way I could just sit and wait like 6 months to make another movie. I have to be doing something.
Right.
And I'm also quite linear. Like I go back and forth. Like I have my weird creative artistic times where I like have to like throw everybody out and I gotta get weird and you know. And then I have moments where I'm like, I just wanna like be administrative and like organize files. I wanna like get my linear brain going and that I think is where the business side came in. Like it started with just wanting to, before it was like, everyone was like growing some kind of company. I wanted to be in fashion. I saw this idea, everyone was like, it's a little risky. It's, you know, not like a normal endorsement. It's, you know, it was like, I'm investing in a company for leggings that's, you know, affordable clothing for women. And I was like, this is awesome. I get to talk about something I'm passionate about. I get to learn about this business. I had no idea that the success of the company would be what it was. And then the learning curve came. And then I got really in. I like the business aspect of it. It's not easy. It's hard and it's a grind, but it's there's something about it. I like the grind. Like I like the winning part of growing a company that means something to you, that has like purpose. I enjoy that.
It sounds like the answer to this question is no, but is there any world where you just run your businesses and you say,
no,
the acting part of my life is over?
No, never. It'll be the opposite for me. For me, it'll be like, I think that part, I think that as I get older, I want to just read more. I want to write more. I want to sing.
You mentioned that a few times in public. This is happening.
Now it's
Here
just
we
happening.
go.
It's just happening
so
now.
what do we?
Yeah.
We've got an album coming,
I
or what's?
do. I have an album. I've been making an album. That's what came for COVID for me. That sort of out of that was like, okay, I'm making a record. And actually, the way it happened was it started with me just saying, you know what, I need to sing more. I was so terrified of singing in front of people, and I was over it. I don't like being fearful, and so I was like, okay, if someone asks me to sing, I'm just gonna say yes. I'm just gonna say. So I got into the parent band at my school. But the parent band, they asked me, they're like, will you come sing a song with the parent band? I was like, oh, I said I'd say yes, so yeah. But the parent band is like all Grammy award winning, like musicians and producers but they really like they were like, Kate, you need to make a record. Like then Linda Perry, she's a songwriter. She did What's Going On, Four Non-Blondes, but she's very,
Yeah.
very, very prolific, like kind of a hit maker, right? Like writes the most amazing songs. And she cold called me and was like, why aren't you making a record? And I said, because I don't know. I don't have the structure. I don't have the time. I don't have the, and she goes, no. And she said, come into my studio. And I sat in her studio. She made me sing a song that she had written. And then she sat me down. She's like, we're making a record. You got to do it. Put your fall aside. We're going to write. And she goes, you write music? I go, yeah. She's like, all right, we're going to write together. So we wrote. And me, Danny, and Linda sat for 2 months and wrote 25 songs.
Wow.
And then, so it's been just from then, it's just like kind of no expectation, just like a love for songwriting. It was all the emotion needed to just pour out. It did. It's there. You'll hear it. I also think like, for my kids, they know I sing every day. I write music. Even for them to see that at this time in my life, I don't care. I just have to do it. And I hope it's as warmly received as I have cared for it, you know, because it's just a labor of love. I mean, that's all it is. And if it means that then I have this pivot and I'm playing shows and I'm doing things like that, I would love it. But I have no expectation for, like, there's no calculated move. I just want to put music in the world.
People love you. You have goodwill. They're going to root for you. Well, I'm going to root for you.
This is good. Okay,
yeah,
great.
We'll start there.
You'll like one song, at least.
Staying busy helps the mother of 3 to cope with her son Ryder's recent move across the country to college. But she has found a support group with friends Gwyneth Paltrow and Reese Witherspoon.
My girlfriend, Gwyneth, our kids were in school together. We both had that moment together when we like look at each other. We're like, how you doing? Because we experienced it at the same time. And Reese, all 3 of us ladies, all of our kids went to college at the same time. It's so hard. I mean, he's in the city, so it's great because when I'm here, I get to see him and we hang out and he's loving the city. I mean, and the first 2 weeks of school, he wrote me, he's like, Mom, you lost me for 4 years. Like, I'm here.
Good.
I'm in it. I love it here. And I was like, oh, all you want is your kid to thrive and like be happy and feel good in his skin. And he's such a great person. And he's always, Ryder's always been that way. Ryder's the best. He's good human. He's super talented. He's really smart. He's very, like, perfectly self-deprecating. He's got that great sense of humor that will get him through life. But man, when I'm in LA and I go to the coffee machine in the morning and I don't hear his voice, it's a big one. I didn't think it would hit me so hard.
You raised a great kid who can go all the way across the country and thrive on his own.
That's right.
You did it.
And I hope, yeah. I feel that in him. And I think the other thing too is like someone said to me, because I was having a moment, he was talking about, I don't know, you know, the second he was 18, he like got a tattoo and then he was talking about motorcycles and things. And I was like, oh my God. And this woman said, faith, not fear. Faith, not fear. And that's become my mantra. Like, because I am such a high anxiety mother. I have this like floating mother anxiety through life. Like, where's Bing? Where's Ronnie? What's going, you know, like I'm like, you know, want all my baby cubs. Yes. Like, faith, not fear. That's my new motto.
I love that. I'm glad he's doing so well.
He's doing great. He's gonna be a part of this weird world that I'm in, for sure.
NBC News, streaming free now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Good morning, welcome to Today.
I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
To have you along with us. We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show.
Mila here.
After more than 2 years at home with her family, Mila Kunis is venturing back into the world, though still clinging to some pandemic holdovers.
I'm still in the habit of Instacarting. I'm actively trying to break. It's like going back into the grocery store. So there's a part of me that like loves this mask thing. The way we did a massive road trip over the summer, and the only reason we could have done it the way that we did it was because my husband and I were able to just wear masks when we went to like all the national park monuments and things.
You loaded up the RV,
Yes,
got the kids going.
for 3 weeks. I don't know if we could have done it without a mask. It was great.
Kunis is unmasked and back at work for her latest movie, the dark Netflix drama Luckiest Girl Alive.
Mr. Larson, it's me, Tiffany.
The film is based on the 2015 New York Times bestseller by Jessica Knoll, who also adapted it for the screen.
Had you read the book? Were you aware of the story?
So it was sent to me as a script. The title seemed familiar. I realized that I'd read it 5-6 years prior. I just didn't remember reading it. And then I went, oh, I don't remember what the twists are. I knew that there were twists and things. And I was like, ooh, this will be a really fun read. And I remembered what I loved about it, which was all going back to Jessica Knoll. I think the tone of it was different than all the other movies that I've seen when it came to like the mystery.
The mystery lies in Kunis's character Ani Finelli, a woman whose extreme, unresolved teenage trauma rushes back to the surface.
She is a young woman living in New York City who's living the perfect Instagram life. So she's putting forward all of the things that she thinks that people want to hear and want to see, as probably most people can relate to. And so that's like a little bit of the fun cat and mouse game that she plays within herself, like which one of these is the real me. But I think it's a fun character to try to anticipate, which is what I think we were trying to do with the ending. Because we changed the ending from the book to the movie.
Nobody believed me back then because I was a wet seal wearing gutter wrap.
There's a lot of trauma in her past that she has to confront, that sort of defines her life and defines her future relationships. Do you like playing a character who's got all that depth?
Yeah. Do I give you a real answer? I give you the answer that I think people want to hear.
Yeah, give me the real one.
The real one is no. Like, it's all fun. Like, I really genuinely look at acting as play pretend. The other answer I can give you is, yes, this was really hard for me, and it was emotionally draining, and I'm such a great actor. I can go on and on with the answer that I think I'm supposed to give, but the truth is, I love to play pretend. There's a part of you that, at the end of the day, is exhausted. But that being said, I can separate the two pretty well. So as hard as it is, I'm not in a ditch, I'm not in a mine, I'm okay. Like, it's not that hard.
Some of the scenes are hard to watch, so I'm thinking this must be hard for you, even if you're playing pretend, to act out. They have to be.
The idea of it doing seems much harder than the actual technical nature of it, because it is broken down into so many different fragments. Rarely is it one long experience of that traumatic experience. So you feel like you're a little bit detached from experiencing the whole thing until you shoot the wide, call it. And then you have to experience the whole thing all at once.
Some of this trauma is real to Jessica, to the author. And did that give this some added significance, taking care of her story in some way?
Yeah. But what was interesting was the parts, while we were shooting it, the parts that were triggering for her to be on set for were not the parts that you would have thought. Oh. So it's not the obvious, is my best way of, like, there's two very traumatic sequences in the film. Both of them were not the traumatic experiences that she was not on the set for.
I'm curious how you decide what kind of project is worth this kind of investment. Clearly, this is a big investment of your time and effort. You got kids at home, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
How do you choose, yes, that's the thing I want to do in this case?
I look at it as, is this reason enough for me to not be home for dinner every night? What justifies that? The people involved. I think I really love working in a really fun environment, regardless of it being a comedy, drama, thriller, or horror. I think the environment has to be right. The characters, and who's this movie for, or who's this project for? And if I can't answer that, then there's no point of doing it.
And there's such a range of it too. You'll do something hilariously funny,
Yeah.
and something very
You wanna
deeply serious.
You want to entertain or you want to give a little spoonful of medicine with a whole bunch of sugar, or you just want to just give some sugar. Like, I'm at a place where I'm so, like, that's what I'm trying to find desperately right now, is just an incredible comedy, like a great romantic comedy.
I showed my 13-year-old son Ted for the first time the other night.
You're welcome.
It was a revelation to him.
Is it not amazing?
It's amazing.
I know. Ted was a wonderful, obnoxious movie. That's what we need more of.
Totally.
Did he like
So
it?
he loved it.
He did?
He's got a pretty sharp sense of humor.
It's so
And I
good.
think during COVID, all the rules of like language went out the window in terms of shows and movies
By the way,
and all that.
same, except we have 6 and 8, and we were like, you know what? It's just words. Go ahead.
We tried for a while. I don't know if you should watch that. And then we had 2 years to fill. So we're like, forget it. Whatever you want. So
Yeah, same.
we're
It
into the
started for
Ted
us
movies.
with F1,
Oh, yeah.
because there's a lot of cursing on
There
that.
is.
And I was like, meh, whatever.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Another long-term effect of COVID.
Exactly.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
NBC News, streaming free now.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
This is what it looks and feels
What's the latest film? The bigger piece of the puzzle.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
How much water ultimately will be forced inland?
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
Born in the former Soviet Union, in modern-day Ukraine, Kunis and her family moved to the United States with just $250 when she was 7 years old, eventually settling in Los Angeles.
We landed in LA. It was something like February 17th, and February 18th, I started school.
Wow.
So it was you were just like thrown into it as quickly as you could.
It's like dropping a kid on the moon, saying, good luck.
But we all dropped ourselves on the moon.
Yeah.
So it was like my parents were on the moon. We were all on the moon, and we were like, just don't fall into that crater. Like, good luck.
Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine this year, Kunis and Kutcher rallied to raise more than $30 million for refugees from her home country.
Our collective effort will provide a softer landing for so many people as they forge ahead into their future of uncertainty.
The world has watched and seen what Ukraine is about and how brave the people are. And I imagine that's some source of pride to you and your family.
It is. I mean, I never actually cared where I came from. It was always irrelevant. I, in fact, told people that I was Russian because when I left was 91. It just started the fall.
Right.
So I technically left when it was Russia. this war hits, and I was like, I am not Russian. I am from Ukraine. I have more pride now than I ever have about being from Ukraine.
As a young girl suddenly moved halfway around the world, Kunis learned English by watching American TV and taking acting classes, which led to roles in commercials and on television.
I feel like I caught up with the American culture very quickly at a very young age because I love television. Like, I love TV. I love watching television.
Yeah.
And I loved watching TV when I was little because I didn't have it, and then I had it. And at 7, I was like, what is this box? And my parents were like, watch it.
Yeah.
So I watched a lot of TV growing up.
Yeah, I mean, but to get into acting, right, to help with your confidence, I guess, and to learn some English.
Yeah.
And then it turns into Barbie commercials and Payless Shoes commercials and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point?
Baywatch, let's not forget Baywatch. That's like, yeah.
I watched a great scene just this morning of you warning some young people of, I think, a brush
Thank
fire
you so
on the
much.
way.
Feel that heat? Don't get out of here, we're gonna fry.
I played 2 different characters on Baywatch.
Wow. And they're just hoping nobody
New character.
noticed.
No one noticed. It was television 27 years ago. Yeah.
Audiences started to notice Kunis when she landed the role of Jackie Burkhart on the Fox hit That 70s Show.
You are a dog, Michael, a dirty, dirty dog!
So at what point was it like, oh, this is my career. This isn't just like a hobby I have as a teenager. This is what I'm doing.
When I wanted to drop out of college,
That'll do it.
I would have to take a 6 a.m. class in order to be in the car by 8 in order to sit on one of the freeways to get in, to work on time and not get in trouble. And I was like, I can't do that. And so I was like, okay, what do I choose? Do I choose 70s or do I choose college? And I was like, I'll choose 70s.
It was there she met Kutcher, though the friends and co-stars did not date until more than a decade later, marrying in 2015. In 2018, I asked Kunis about acting with Kutcher again.
Probably not gonna happen. No, it's weird.
But after some recent spousal negotiations,
Do you really mean it?
the pair decided to reprise their roles for an episode of the upcoming series That 90s Show.
Any hesitation or like, let's go do it?
Honestly, there was a little hesitation.
There was?
From one of us. I will not say which one. We're gonna do one scene. We're gonna do together. We're spoiler alert, play a married couple in it. I've never been more nervous in my life.
Really?
Than the day that we had to shoot that scene.
Now why?
Oh my God, because it's my husband. It was so weird to look at him and not be like, why are you doing that funny face? Or for him not to look at me and be like, why are you acting so? Like, there's a part of you that after being, you can call BS on someone.
Yeah.
It's trippy because we were in the same house, like the stage, and it takes place in the same basement. But we're old and married and have children. And I was like, oh my God. It was like being in Twilight Zone. It was very, very weird. But I'm so proud of it. By the way, 90s Show is very cute. And Bonnie came back for it. So our original creators came back for it. It's really good.
Speaking of your long, illustrious career, I can't believe you just started your 20th season on Family Guy.
I know.
20 seasons.
Yeah.
Could you ever have dreamed when you stepped into the booth to be Meg the first time?
No, given the fact that we were canceled twice. No, I did not presume that we were gonna ever be on air ever again. We are so lucky. I mean, I'm so lucky. By the way, speaking of COVID, all of it moved into my house. It was in the closet for the first year and a half. And then Ashton built me a little recording studio.
So you really don't need to leave the house. I mean, you have this figured out.
I mean, but I do need to leave the house. Like, that's not, no, I'm leaving. I went out for drinks in New York yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Was it?
It was really expensive.
Oh,
New York drinks
things have gotten more expensive.
Yeah, it is. I was like, that's an expensive martini that I just had. Oh, thank you. What a gentleman.
I don't know whether I need to do a shot after this or kiss my wife.
Ashton's training for the New York City Marathon. Having done this last year, I know that it puts some strain on the partner in the relationship.
Thank you for understanding. Thank you for feeling my feelings with me. But okay, all jokes aside, it's been actually really great.
Yeah.
Lots of things with the running that I learned. Nipples.
Oh, the chafing.
Yeah. So my husband, okay, I have an almost 6-year-old and an almost 8-year-old. My husband goes to me after like 3 months of training or 2, whatever it is, and goes, hey babe, do you got any of that nipple cream from when you used to nurse? And I was like, used to nurse? I was like, We have big children. He goes, do you have like any like nipple cream? And I went, no, I don't have random nipple cream laying around the house.
Yeah, I kept it in case of an emergency.
You never know when my nipples will chafe.
And you'll be there cheering him along?
Yes.
And then maybe you'll run a marathon.
No.
Never.
Never.
Okay.
No.
Shut that down
Like,
real
don't
quick.
chase me, because the likelihood of me running is slim to none. Like, I will be like, I'm sorry, you have me. Like, you win.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the marathon. Congratulations on the movie. Well, it's good to see you, John.
It's good to be here.
I saw the movie last week.
And?
So I don't know if I can put into words how much I loved it. And part of it is because it's a great movie on its own. And part of it is because I was going into 6th grade when the original came out. And it was so formative for so many of us.
Sure.
I think you included.
Yeah, I think I was probably around 8th grade, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've described the movie like this. It perfectly rides the line between the newness of it and its originality and nostalgia. It's perfect. It's got both of those things. It's a great news story. It's a continuation of the story of Maverick and all the Iceman and all the people that we've known throughout seeing the first film. And then it's this throwback again to making you feel like you were when you were in 6th grade or 8th grade or whatever it was, the 80s.
And by the way, it starts with the opening credits of the movie. There's a piece of music that comes in, and I was like,
it drops you right back into it. Yeah,
you dropped
for sure.
right back in. It's incredible. So given your experience with the movie, given the experience we all had with the movie, when they call you about this, does it blow your mind to even consider the possibility of
I just remember thinking, like, if my 8th grade self could talk to my now self, both of us would not be computing that this is happening. So it was a no-brainer for me. I was just like, are you kidding? Yes. I don't know. I don't care what the part is. I would be in craft service on this thing if I could. But then I got like a cool call sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, they put me in the wardrobe. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. I can't believe I get to do this. Like, I'm literally on an aircraft carrier saluting Tom Cruise. Like, this is not happening. It was a tremendous delight to make, and I cannot wait for people to see the film.
So you're Cyclone, that's the call sign you're referring to.
That's my call sign.
So describe a little bit for the audience who your character is, how he fits into the story.
I'm the air boss, so I'm in charge. And like most people that runs into Pete Maverick Mitchell, don't love the way he comports himself.
But as good as they are, sir, they still have something to learn.
Every morning from this day forward, you will brief us on your instructional plans in writing, and nothing will change without my express approval.
Including the hard deck, sir?
Especially the hard deck, Captain.
It's mystifying to somebody like my character looking at this guy's career and saying, like, why aren't you running things? You should be me. You should be, in a leadership position, and yet here you are still a captain. That pretty much sets the stage and tells you everything you need to know about our relationship. But it was great. I mean, to be able to be in those scenes with Tom Cruise is it's a lifelong dream, for real.
You play it well. You've got the square jaw, and you have that good vibe of, I don't like you, but I need you up there, man.
Exactly.
Energy.
And there's so much of that that's baked into not only the story, but just the character of Maverick. I mean, it's right there in his name. He's the Maverick, and you don't like him, but you need him, and he is exactly that. And as the movie plays out, you see how that comes to bear fruit.
Talking about Tom Cruise and Maverick, I think part of why this works so well is because he is still Maverick. 32 years since the original movie. He looks great, he's in shape, he still carries it. What was it like to be on set with him as sort of the leader?
I'll never forget my first day on set. Like, I walked onto set. We're at North Island Naval Base in Coronado, San Diego. I'm looking around. It's basically a temple to Top Gun. There's a 2-story American flag for the set. Everybody's in, gear. And I walk on the set, and there's Tom Cruise, and he just looks at me and he's, hey, comes up, gives me a big hug. It's so good to have you here. We're so excited. I was like, are you kidding me? This is insane. I said to him at some point during that day, that first day, I was like, this has to be like an out-of-body experience for you. You are in the same wardrobe, on the same set, and it's 30 years later. Like, you were 25 or whatever he was when he was making that movie the first time. I was like, what does that feel like? He goes, I feel like I'm at home.
Your reputation precedes you.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting an invitation back.
They're called orders, Maverick.
And he is that guy, isn't he? I mean, you've talked about him sets the tone for the set. Here's how hard we're going to work. Here's when we're going to work.
First guy in, last guy out. Everything you want him to be, he is. And he knows it. He knows he has to be. And so he's never late. He's never in a bad mood. He's happy to be there. He's happy to make movies. He's a movie star.
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
He is the best. It's a rare thing to be like in the presence of a guy like that movie star energy.
Yes.
It's infectious and it's fun and it's unique. I'll say that.
And a wild thing to be standing in a scene with somebody who's like the poster was on the wall of your childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You pinch yourself, and it's it doesn't happen often, but boy, is it fun when it does.
Ooh, the answers come when you need them most. Ooh, let it go.
The Today Show's newest fan.
A little Al Roker.
What am I doing here? This is your moment.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you gonna do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm gonna go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
I love you too.
How many of you were up there?
At least like 11.
How real is this going back to the moon? Thank you, Lester.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show. This is what it looks and feels
What's the latest film? The bigger piece of the puzzle.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
How much water ultimately will be forced inland?
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now. We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
NBC News, streaming free now.
You got to stay on solid ground for your role.
Yes, I did.
But my God, some of the fighter plane scenes. And Tom says we had to test all these actors and make sure they could pull 8Gs. There's no real camera trick. There's a little, of course, but like they're flying in those planes.
You're seeing what you see. It's not, that's no joke. That's no CGI. It's real. And those guys and girls all had to go through pretty much fighter pilot training. You know, they're in G suits. They're experiencing G-lock, loss of consciousness. You know, basically you're pulling so much gravity that the blood is going out of your head. It's
literally,
that's literally what happens.
Yeah.
Like and you see it on screen. Like you see their faces like moving in that way. And it's exciting. Your pulse immediately starts ramping up when you see it. And it's because it's real.
And if you had a chance to sit and watch the movie,
yeah, I've seen the whole film.
And your reaction was what?
I literally got misty.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely was reminded of like being that young kid watching that first one. There's a couple things I won't spoil, but there's some characters we've seen before that come back and remind you that like, oh wow, that like these characters and these relationships are seemingly ongoing since we left off in 1985. And then I was just blown away by the storytelling and how it's told. The camera work and the action sequences are unbelievable, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
A lot has changed in all of our lives, but some of these things are still in place. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Okay, there's Maverick, and there's all these other characters that you're alluding to, and it feels good to see it.
It does. There's something very comfortable about that, and I think we've all had, a very interesting last couple of years too, of uncertainty and things feeling like what's normal, what's real, and then something like this happens. This is an actual big time movie. It's not a streamer, it's not it's not a binge, it's a movie, it's an event movie that are the kinds of things that we used to do when we were 13, 14, 15 years old. I remember my first experience with something like that. I certainly saw Top Gun at least 4 times in the theater because you had to. You just wanted to do it again. And that's, I think, going to happen with this. I think people are going to see this and then immediately want to see it again.
There's also been a little bit of the waiting game for this, building up this anticipation. You shot this, I think, 4 years ago or something like that?
In 2018.
2018.
The movie was finished in 2019. It was meant to come out in 2020. Obviously, the world, stopped, and we had to put a pause on it. But the idea was this needs to be seen big and loud and on a big screen and to blow your hair back. And that's the way it's going to be seen. And I challenge anybody to not be blown away by the film.
What was the first phone call back to St. Louis like, to your buddies who saw the movie with you in '86, and you said, I'm going to be in the new Top Gun with Tom Cruise?
Well, mostly, I think there was an announcement in, in the press. So I got a lot of incoming calls of like, is this real? Are you in this movie? Yeah. Before I'd shot a frame, before I'd been on set, before I went a costume fitting, anything, like, what's the deal? Well, I can't really talk about it, but yeah, it was pretty across the board, full-blown excitement. And I'm still to this, every time a trailer drops or anything comes out, I can't wait to see this movie. I can't wait to see this movie. Literally, I got an email from a friend of mine who lives the younger brother of a kid I played baseball with and went to high school with, who bought a T-shirt. He's ready to go. This is a grown man, by the way. This is a 40-year-old man.
Sure.
Bought a T-shirt and is ready to go.
There's going to be a lot of that. You got to get ready.
I know.
I was telling you, my 12-year-old son is very excited about this, and he watched the old one. Have you thought about this is going to be a movie for those kids, the way it was for us? Just this sort of extension of this
for sure. I mean,
world.
It's like we were talking about. There's a quality to certain films that makes them sort of blockbusters, right? So this is one of those things. This is one of those movies that it's not an Academy Award movie. It's not a prestige movie. This is a blockbuster, and it's for kids of a certain age. It will be memorable in a way that will be, super specific, but also just mind-blowing for them. And I think, it's hard for me to soft pedal it. I can't. It is what it is. It's going to be awesome, and that's how it's designed. It's meant to be awesome, and I just can't wait for people to see it.
It's amazing how ingrained that movie, the first movie, is. When I was watching it back with my son the other night, I knew every frame almost that was coming, and despite the fact I haven't seen it in years. Every pull of a cigar, every line, every cut of music just kind of becomes a part of the conscience.
Yeah, Tony Scott did an amazing thing with that first film. Every shot is sunset, everything, it doesn't make any sense. It's how is it always sunset?
Right.
Wait, does the sun ever move? No. But just the vocabulary of it, all the guys in the helmets that are doing all the things, that are launching the planes and all the stuff. And it's so redolent of that first film, this one that we did, and Joe Kosinski, who directed it, strikes the exact balance of homage to Tony's, kind of vocabulary visually and stuff. There's the music cues that you mentioned, all of that stuff, and yet it's so of 2020, 2021, 2022 now, of the now, that it has its own life, and it's just great. It's awesome. It's amazing. There's a couple scenes in like the pilot bar that they rebuilt this. They built it from scratch, this bar. It looks like it's been there for 100 years, but they built it from scratch. So much so that the Navy was like, can we keep this?
It's a good bar.
It's great.
Yeah, right on the beach.
Nothing works.
Yeah.
There's no water, running water or anything. We're like, can we keep this? Sure.
Connect it up. Yeah. Now, how'd you avoid the beach scene, the shirtless football game?
Oh, nobody wants to see that. Thank God. I didn't have to. Watching the young kids working out for about two and a half weeks before that, I was like, enjoy. I'm going to go get dinner.
I'll be in my uniform.
You guys, I'll be in my uniform and sunglasses.
Well, congrats, man. It's such a good film.
Thank you.
People are going to absolutely love it, whether you're 12 or our age or older.
It is
It's
for
awesome.
all ages.
It's so good.
Hi, I'm Savannah Guthrie.
And I'm Hoda Kotb.
Do you want the top stories in news, pop culture, celebrity interviews, cooking, and more all in one place?
We got the channel for you. Check out our 24/7 streaming channel today, all day, and make the most of your day. You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
I love you too.
I think when you open your eyes, you get to decide, how's my day going to be? We want to be a way to start your day, lighten your load, every single morning.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in whenever it happens, wherever you are. NBC News, streaming free now.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
I love you too.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in whenever it happens, wherever you are. NBC News, streaming free now.
I do want to ask you about Fletch.
Yes.
Confess Fletch. I was doing the research and I said, is this the same Fletch as I grew up with? And the answer is yes.
Yes and no.
So how did this come about?
It's, Gregory McDonald wrote about 12 books throughout the 70s and 80s, starring our man Fletch. And as you and I both know, and anybody that grew up in the 80s knows, Chevy's version of Fletch became very popular and iconic, if I can overuse that word again. Yet there are these other stories. And so it's been threatened to be rebooted for years and years and years. And finally, Miramax, who had the rights, said, well, "We're doing this. Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I really do." And of course, the danger of doing anything like that, rebooting anything like that, is like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to imitate Chevy? Like, no, you can't. Chevy's Chevy. So we had to really we approached it like a cover song. Like you think, okay, well, you're not going to play it exactly the same way. You have to kind of come up with your own spin on it. And so that's what we did. And Greg Mottola, who I've worked with on several projects, is a wonderful filmmaker and a good friend. And we decided, okay, well, we're going to take it in a little bit of a different way. We're going to get back to kind of what the books were, more of a straight kind of whodunit, and really kind of lean into that, and less on the jokey wigs and teeth and funny voices and all that stuff, which is great, but is very much of Chevy's version. So we made a very cool, jazzy, interesting, more adult kind of version of it, and hopefully we'll get to make a lot more. We'll see what happens. So we're going to wait to see who is going to release it. But I'm excited for people to see that too, because my friend John Slattery's in it with me. Kyle MacLachlan. We've got a lot of Marcia Gay Harden. We've got a lot of cool people in it. It's really funny and it's really fun. It takes place in Boston and then Rome. So it's kind of got, it's got a little international flavor to it. And we're hoping to be able to make a few more of those too.
I'm sure the first thing you have to do is get Chevy's version out of your head, right?
Yeah,
because it's there for all of us.
For sure,
yeah.
for sure. It's it's a different take on it. So I'm hoping people get to see that as well coming up in the next year or so, and then we'll make some more of them.
I cannot wait to see that either. You're on a roll, man.
I'm doing what I can.
You really are. You are. It does seem like post Mad Men, everyone's gotten to see how funny you are, which your friends have always known about you. Is that a conscious thing of like 30 Rock and Kimmy and Curb and all the... And
I got really lucky. I'll say this because, obviously doing something like Mad Men, which is so serious and so specific. And I'll credit Lorne Michaels. Like he was the guy who said, come do the show. Come do SNL. Come do it 3 times. Come do it, whenever you want.
Before I was cast as the mysterious debonair Don Draper, I did a bunch of stuff. For example, in the early 90s, I had a guest spot on the teen sitcom Late for Class. I played the new kid at school, Bonzo. I think we have a clip of it. Check it out.
Oh no, I forgot about the quiz.
You better not cheat off me, Trevor.
Hey Bonzo, did you hear? We have a quiz in geography.
Lower your voice. Show a little respect. You panic every time there's a quiz as if it really matters. You go through life like a cockroach in the dirt. You people make me sick.
That was the person that gave me the intro to Tina Fey on 30 Rock, and that was what got me Kimmy Schmidt, and then introduced me to Larry David and that whole world. So I'm tremendously lucky to be able to play on both sides of the aisle, and I give all credit to Lorne Michaels for that.
Is it fun to step into those worlds?
For sure.
And show off, like, you saw Don Draper,
sure.
You saw all that stuff, but here I am this way.
Well, and getting to meet and work with people like Kristen Wiig on Bridesmaids or Bill Hader on Barry or whatever, it's like there's so many phenomenally talented people that come through that building, and to get a chance to work with them is great.
I was watching you in Bridesmaids this morning where you go, I really want you to leave.
It's so good. That was a fun one. That was a fun one.
It's so good.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show.
You get one beautiful life to live. Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold.
We have this circle of women that love each other.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
Love you too.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric.
Love ya.
Love you too.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
Mad Men's been off the air for 7 years now, I think.
That's right.
You've got some distance from it. Have you been able to process what a whirlwind that was
Well,
and what an impact it had on your life?
Yes, yeah, for sure. We just lost an all-star in Bobby Morse this week.
Yeah.
Working with him and kind of thinking back to what a career that man had. And the funny thing for me is, like, I see Kiernan Shipka every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now 22 years old.
Yeah.
And when I started working with her, she was 6. So it's literally like, that is marking the passage of time for me. It's like, okay, this person, she's going to get married, she's going to have kids, like this crazy like whirlwind. I've known you since you were 6. It's, you know, she played my daughter, but it feels like she is my daughter. It's very strange. But yeah, getting that distance from it has been fun, honestly. Like it's fun to look back on that show and be reminded of what a great thing we made. I got a lovely text from a friend of mine, Annie Clark, also known as St. Vincent, the other day, who said, just on an airplane, and I was watching the show, and it's so good. It's so good. I get one of those every 2-3 months from somebody, and it's a good reminder. Yeah, we made something great, and not a lot of people can say that, and it's important when you have done something like that to remember it.
It's that was 2007 when it started, and people forget we hadn't been in the streaming world and all that. We had Sopranos and The Wire and a few of those shows. The show was great, but there was no guarantee it was going to take off.
We shot the pilot in 2005, I think, or 2006, and then it was a year before we shot the second one. We didn't know if we were going to get picked up.
Right.
We didn't know if we were going to make a second episode. So then it debuted, and it was a hit. People were gaga for it, which was great. But we didn't know if we were going to get a second season. You know, it was that kind of thing. It was very, we'll see. AMC didn't really have a history of making television.
Right.
They weren't really sure the funding. They were trying to figure out how to finance this thing. It was not an inexpensive show to make. It was period. It took place in New York City, even though we're shooting in LA. We build all these sets. So it was very, piecemeal in how it came together. And then once it finally did, and we achieved the kind of critical mass of critics and all the other stuff, okay, we started winning awards. Okay, here it is. Now we're Emmy Award winning and all the other stuff. Well, okay, now we're going to get another season. Might not get 2 more seasons, but we'll see. And then all of a sudden it went for 7 seasons, and that's a success that very few people get to experience, and I'm eternally grateful for it, but it's a unicorn in a lot of ways.
It obviously changed your career, but it changed your life too. I remember seeing you at the 2012, one of the political conventions in Charlotte, and we were in the lobby of a hotel's group of people, and someone came up and asked for a picture with you, height of Mad Men, and you turned them one person, and it was this thing. And I went, wow, that's like a different way to go through life.
It was a change. It's certainly a change. It's definitely, you think like, and politics is a perfect way to put it, because I remember meeting Al Gore at one point, and he said, the selfies have taken 5 years out of my life. Just because in the old days, you shake hands and move on. That's it. Maybe you get a little Purell. That's all you got to worry about. And now it's a picture, it's a this, it's a let's do. And of course you don't want to be, rude.
Yeah.
But there's also, there's only so many minutes in the day. And you talk about that thing where it's like, it's one person and then it's 2 people.
Now
and
it's
then
okay,
it's
3,000 got it. Yeah. Yeah. And your rest of your day is in that lobby.
That's the rest of your day.
Yeah. But seems to me you've sort of managed it pretty well, right? You've had that moment, but you live regularly.
I think like you learn to prioritize everything, right? So everything has its compartment, and like if you're going into a place where that's part of the equation, then you have to kind of dial that up. And if you can remove yourself from those things, but if you go to Madison Square Garden, you're gonna get mobbed. That's the way it is. So you just got to manage those expectations.
So what do you have we've got Fletch coming, Top Gun, Maverick's going to be huge. As you look at the sort of future and the horizon of your career, what's still out there that you want to do?
Man, I don't know. I've been so lucky, I've been so fortunate to do, like I said, to work on both sides of the aisle, comedy and drama, work with all the people that I want to work with. My friend John Slattery just made a movie starring me and Tina Fey. We shot that last fall. That's going to come out at some point. I don't know. I just like to keep my head on a swivel and my eyes open and be aware when those opportunities come my way that I don't miss them.
Well, it's guided you pretty well, right?
So far, so
Wouldn't
good.
you say?
Yeah.
Congratulations on everything.
Thanks.
People are gonna freak out about Top Gun. It's so good.
I think they're gonna like it.
Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you.
So, Regina, you've spent a good amount of time in New York City. College, grad school.
Yeah, and then I lived here in Harlem after that.
Right.
Well, in Manhattan, well, Upper West Side. Everything's been changed, but I love New York.
Those are the early days of your career. Was this where some of that auditioning and all those things were happening?
It's so funny being here and going, like, catching the subway and going to all my auditions. This is when the subway was like a lot, when it was like $1.25, mind you. But yeah, it's nostalgic. But it's sweet. I also used to practice my acting with my acting partners in school, like outside on the streets.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of where it started for you.
This is where it started. This is the beginning.
This is where you powered through those no's.
I mean, hundreds.
To get where you are.
Hundreds of no's.
Right, I mean.
Oh.
Regina, thanks for doing this.
Oh, no, I'm excited to do it.
It's good to meet you where the Illuminati meets, apparently in this amazing chapel.
I know. There's a lot of interesting art.
Speaking of church, congratulations on the movie. I just watched it this morning. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
It's funny, it's tragic, it makes you think. It's a movie within a movie. There's so many levels and layers to it. How do you describe it to people?
Yeah, it has a very like dramedy-esque feel, bit of a mockumentary because it's a documentary within a movie.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of fun. I mean, there are moments of gravity and levity.
Yeah. Well, it's super funny, and I think what you said about the movie within the movie, the documentary, is it almost lets your character, Trinity, show both sides of herself, right? So when she's in the documentary, she's funny and she's keeping a good face on and all that.
She's trying.
And then when you say cut or you say cut the cameras, okay, now here's the real story.
Right. In the making of the documentary,
yes,
the problem is that they couldn't control it in the way that they needed to. They couldn't control the narrative. Therein lies the problem, right?
Right.
We can edit around that, right?
So we should, without giving too much away, for people who are watching, just explain the story a little bit about what happens. They got a big, successful mega church.
Yes.
And then
they have a huge, successful mega church, and the movie is about the couple who, I mean, they've reached every height you can reach for a church, but there's a scandal that has occurred around Pastor Lee Curtis, and they are opening up their church, reopening their church Easter Sunday. Pastor Lee Curtis, Sterling K. Brown, has decided he wants to document the opening.
And they're humbled, to say the least, standing out on the street asking people to honk for Jesus, right?
Shake it for the Lord. Shake it for the Lord.
You know, so many people honked.
Yeah?
They didn't realize it was us. It was down south, and they just instinctively honked.
Oh, so those are real honks?
Those are
cars going by?
Those are real honks.
Oh, wow. So you had some experience with maybe not exactly this kind of church. You had family down south when you were growing up, so you sat in some pews. I don't know if they were at these mega churches, but where did you go to sort of learn about and to tap into who Trinity is?
Well, I definitely have visited several mega churches and attended them for stints. They're also really accessible online because there's so many right now. But for Trinity, I really studied the first ladies, to be honest. There's a lot of shows where there are first ladies talking, interviews, talking about what it's like, kind of their role, which most people don't really think about.
We need you back in that pulpit so you can get me back on that stage.
Yeah. You know, people kind of judge it, especially when there's scandal. People say, well, why did she do this and why did she stay? But they really do. I found that all of them have a quiet strength. And that they are incredibly vital to the pastor and the ministry in a way that the public doesn't see, because the pastor is the face of the congregation and the personality of the congregation, and she is probably the backbone.
So you studied some game film, we put it that way. You watched.
I watched a lot. I talked to a few also, and just asked them about how they felt. They end up, for lack of a better word, having to take a back seat to the congregation because their husband has to meet the needs of the congregation. So if someone needs counseling, if pastoral counseling, or if someone, their family needs something, the wife seems to hold the space that allows him to do things kind of for everyone else first.
Right. Sometimes that goes astray.
Well,
as we see in this movie, sometimes, not all the time.
In this case, it definitely went astray.
In this case, it does.
Yeah.
And your partner here is Sterling K. Brown.
Yes, he plays my husband.
A wonderful actor,
Amazing.
Obviously, who people love. Did you know him well beforehand? Because you watch the chemistry in the movie, and there's so many scenes when it's just the two of you. You got to have that.
We got lucky. I did not know Sterling at all.
Oh,
I had
really?
seen him high and by. And then they were like, what do you think of Sterling K. Brown? And I said, I didn't know how funny Sterling was.
Right.
And I was like, huh. And then we met on a Zoom. And when I tell you, it was instantaneous, like just adored him. So by the time we were on set, it was so organic and like, I don't know. It was like, Trinity and Lee Curtis, they're meant for each other, for sure.
God put them together.
Well, they're really almost meant for each other.
Yes, with a little twist in there. He's obviously incredibly charming as a pastor. Has to be. But for his character and for yours, there's a darkness there, right?
Yeah.
And that gives the complexity to those characters and to that movie. So how did you want to approach a character in Trinity who, as I said, was very funny in the film, but also, boy, she was going through stuff.
Yeah, just approach these characters with deep compassion. We know the stereotypes of the mega church, but what are the human qualities that we really do see? They are trying. They do love God, and they do love their church. Where it went askew, I'm not sure, and that's not in the movie, but I do believe that they started off smaller. One of my favorite things is when they're showing all their things in the car and they point to the stay humble.
Yes.
And it's like, but there's a truth to that, because you couldn't point to it if you didn't, and you believe that, but at the same time, there are moments where you have deep compassion for them. And you do see that Trinity loves the stuff as much as her husband, but they both are trying. There's an honesty to certain parts of them.
There's something I picked up on, I'm curious if this was intentional, but the smile and the laugh are there in good times and bad.
Yeah.
So you give a little laugh because we have to keep a brave face up when things are bad. And then you have some genuine laughs too, right? Was that just about, this is for the church, I'm the first lady?
Yes, yeah. That was the mask of the first lady. Actually, she even has a higher pitch and an accent when she's first lady. Right,
it's a performance
It's
in a lot
a
of ways.
performance, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's a commentary in here, Regina, about those kind of mega churches or people who profit off the gospel? Is there something in this film about that?
I think it's a discussion. I think the film shows a lot of things, and I think that there's many discussions that can be had. Every institution is worthy of critique and needs evolution at some point.
Did it make you think about your own faith? I know you grew up going to church. I did too. I was in the choir at my church.
Of course.
Did it make you stop and think a little bit about what you were taught growing up and maybe how your views have changed as you got older?
I actually did that probably my whole life, even loving the church and even loving so many things about it. There were questions that I just always had. There were things that resonated, as incomplete.
Yeah.
As incomplete. And so it was great because that leads you to further, exploration or spiritual study or whatever you want, or, And I think that's actually imperative for faith, because it is, your relationship with God is such an individual relationship. Although, I don't know that many people, I don't know that every person necessarily approaches it that way.
Right. They just receive it without
Right.
sort of
Right.
evaluating
yeah.
it, and
Well,
criticizing and growing
yeah.
through it.
I mean, you can see that with Trinity, which is what I loved. When she did begin to do that, she calls her mother. And you see in that conversation with her mother,
Yeah.
the question she asks her, what it goes right back to.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then that's what she makes. She makes her decision by what that definition is, according to the church, not really her own fundamental belief system.
Do you think Trinity is the hero of this movie? That thought crossed my mind a couple
Right.
of times as I watched it.
I don't know if she's the hero. She's not the victim.
No.
I guess by the end she takes some stance, you know, and maybe in her world that is still heroic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's bottled up and
Yes.
swallowed so much for
She's,
so long.
oh my goodness. I mean, the thing he has her out there doing, it's, you know, it's, why? But yeah, she does it against her own.
Yeah.
But you do understand by the end why she does it.
I wish I could say more, but there's a scene at the end that people are going to be blown away by. Your performance is incredible. Congratulations on it.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
How many of you were up there?
At least like 11.
How real is this going back to the moon? How you doing, Lester?
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
No stress, no mess, just yum.
That's it.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
This is what it looks and feels
What's the latest film? The bigger piece to the puzzle.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
How much water ultimately will be forced inland?
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
NBC News, streaming free now.
We were talking about your youth and church and growing up in D.C. and all of that. We were just saying a minute ago about you had aspirations to be a journalist.
I know.
And by the way, I want to thank you because I've read a number of interviews where you've talked about how important the press is and how journalism is important, and that means a lot. So thank you. What was it about journalism that so interested you?
I was in school and I read a book. I wonder, do you know this book? I don't remember the author, but it's called Democracy in America.
De Tocqueville.
Yes.
Alexis de
And
Tocqueville.
that book really resonated with me, that
Yes.
if you do not have the press, if you do not have journalism, a free press, then you cannot maintain democracy. And especially what's going on right now, it couldn't be more evident. And I think reading that, you're like, oh, I don't know, for me, I don't know, something about that book impressed upon me, like, oh, it's vital.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that people understand how vital it is, even now, because just like, I guess, in a spiritual conversation, I guess in journalism, you'd say you have to have discernment. For the most part, I know that I can trust this, state this channel or this paper, right? And then if you didn't, you'd cross-reference it. And now there's so much information because you have social media.
Yeah.
That people read it and they're applying the same principles. Oh, I read it, therefore it must be true. And so now that you see that the information is no longer as factual as we've known it to be for like decades and decades, well, you have the same behavior and no one's checking. So it's really tough. But that book.
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone to read that book.
It's amazing. And people should know you are not a casual And this wasn't a passing interest for you. You went to
No.
grad school, you went to NYU, and got your master's in journalism.
The news is on constantly because we had to watch the news for, you know, homework. Like you had to watch, watch the news.
Right.
But I also grew up watching Ted Koppel. I love Nightline,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the news plays in but I don't find the news morbid. So it's different. Like for me, it's neither good nor bad. It's information, and I like knowing.
That's a good way to look at it. So how did we get from, I got a master's degree in journalism, to I'm going to be an actress? Where did that turn come?
My father passed away suddenly in my first trimester at NYU. NYU has trimesters. You say trimester and people think you're pregnant.
Right.
But
Good clarification.
yes, good clarification. First trimester at NYU, and I had a friend who, you know, it was like if you need to earn some extra money, you could do commercials, and that's how I was introduced to it. And I was really bad. I didn't get any commercials at the time. But my father's death, I was young. You know, I was 23. And I don't think at that age you think about like the brevity of life. You don't. It's not something. And so it was sobering and painful, but it sort of redirected my journey.
You thought, what do I really want out of this life?
Yeah, and I was also, it was great because I enjoyed it, and it was such a bright spot in a really challenging time. Not all the no's. I mean, that was kind of hard because you know, I had a ton, like so many no's. So many no's, it's like crazy. I mean, I still get a lot of no's, but
You
like.
don't get a lot of no's.
I do get a lot of no's. I mean, maybe not a lot, but I get some no's. I still get some no's.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We begin tonight with breaking news just coming in. Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
I love mornings. They're full of possibility. And how you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
We need to pull up one extra chair at the table.
We feel like we're right there with you.
Just ahead, in this half hour, we're going to introduce you to...
Because every day we start our morning so you can take on yours.
Hey, podcast fans, ready to unlock our true crime mysteries? Try Dateline Premium on Apple Podcasts. You'll get early access to originals, plus bonus content, and everything is ad-free. So head to Apple Podcasts now to subscribe.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Best Man. That was your first big film.
That was my first big film.
Studio film.
Yes.
And is the story true that you may not have been fully prepared for your audition, in that you kind of just had one move that you went with?
I had one move. That was it. I had a move because of one of the girls in my acting class, what used to be an exotic dancer. And I said, I need to learn to dance. And she said, you don't have to know anything. You have to do this one move and that's it. And I did that, and they stopped the music. So it wasn't even like impressive.
Right.
It wasn't like they even wanted to keep watching it. And the producer said, can you do anything else? And I said, yes. And then I just got my clothes and said, thank you, and I left.
Oh, you walked out?
Yes, I said, yeah, because I was like, well, I'm not going to get it.
Right, you thought.
And then I was like, it won't matter. I haven't gotten anything, so it won't be shocking to them. Like, at least she got closer. And so, yeah, then they called and said, we really liked her, but she left. And they said, well, she can't really dance. So they hired a choreographer and
Which
said,
is sort of the job, was dancing.
which was, yeah. And if they got a choreographer and said, if the choreographer says she can do it, we want her.
What was that first big studio experience like for you after hearing all those no's, just to be
Right.
on the set and to feel, okay, this is what it's like to make a movie?
You know, you're so excited. I didn't even know who was in the movie. So you have to remember, this is the point where you don't get anything. Like, you don't get the whole script.
Right.
You just get your sides, and you're trying to guess what the movie's about from the sides. But once, like, it's nice. It was innocent. It was like I had a honey wagon, and I thought I had the biggest trailer in the world. My friends came to set, and they were like, you really made it. And then, of course, now I'm like, wow, I really hadn't. But it was really fun. It was just a warm set. My co-stars were really kind and really warm to me. That made a huge difference. And I didn't know about matching. My hands were going all over the place, and they were like, you know, we have to edit. It's like, so yeah, it was a learning experience.
And then from there, you start booking some pretty good jobs. I mean, really
Yeah,
successful movies.
yeah.
What did that feel like, that kind of momentum after, again, hearing all the no's
Right.
to go, okay, I think I've got something going here. Maybe I can do this for a living.
It was good. It was that, and then it was
Scary
Love and
Movies in there.
Basketball.
Love and Basketball.
Was
Yeah.
second. It was the same producer
Okay.
as The Best Man, and then I got Scary Movie, and I was like, oh, and she's really this. And he was like, Regina, that doesn't sound good. Brenda sounds, and I was telling about the role. And I was like, but she's so fun, and I love her. And he was like, I don't think you should do it. But of course I did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's wild.
I think you made the right call.
I think so.
Was there a role or a movie that felt to you like, I've made it?
You know, it really is a series. For me, it was more of a, it was just steady.
Yeah.
It was the steadiness of it. And then it was like, oh, but each role showed a different side of me, so it helped. But people, you know, they remember certain things. But I would say it was a combination. And then I would say after Girls Trip, and then the combination of that and Support the Girls, there was a shift.
Well, Girls Trip obviously made over $100 million. It was like this complete phenomenon.
Yeah.
What was it about that movie, do you think, that was just so special and so touched a nerve with so many people?
I just think, you know, it was a combination of like raunchy fun from women. You know, there was a little raunchiness, but really heartfelt friendship. And each character's journey, I think a lot of people saw themselves and, you know, differently in each woman. And I think men were surprised that it was a little bit, you know, a little bit racier than they would have thought, or that they'd seen women on screen, but it still was honest. But, you know, and it came at a really good timing, and it was unexpected. And so I think because it was unexpected, we had great word of mouth, and the movie was able to continue and stay like popular and resonate with like different types of people, different cultures, you know. I think it went a little more across the board than people had anticipated.
What is that like if you have that expectation and a movie just explodes in that way? Are you like every weekend seeing those numbers going, oh my gosh?
Yeah, it was really surprising. I felt wonderful when I saw women say, I really loved it. And like mothers and daughters, you know, like that it was not, like that it was cross-generational, like that my mom, you know, I was really happy that my aunts and my mom loved it. That felt really good to have girls and women like it, and women.
And we can safely say that there will be another. It's not there yet, but there's something coming,
yeah,
right?
it's in the oven.
So many of your movies are iconic and explain and show the Black experience and talk about Black culture. Do you think about that when you're making a movie, or is that just a nice byproduct of the work you do?
Well, obviously, you know, the Black audience they've supported me like from the beginning. So, you know, it's like deep in my subconscious, but I don't know that I think about it directly. You know, any character, whoever it is, I always really think about. And I mean, I am Black, so I don't know that I think about it because
it's your experience.
It's right. Yeah. And it's also the experience of the world in the story.
Yeah.
And so I just think about like, well, where can I expand what's on paper to make the character feel rich. So whether it's in a black film or if it's in like a breaking news in Yuba County or even 9 Perfect Strangers, it's the person. So where do we have a deeper expansion of the person?
Does it feel special when someone comes up and says, thank you for telling my story or telling our story? I haven't seen it up on a screen before.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I mean, I think anytime anybody says anything nice, it's rewarding. I mean, that's not a given. That's, like that, you feel that deeply because if they don't do it, you don't, like, why are you here? Why are you bothering?
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show. What do people need most right now? Did the state and/or law enforcement drop the ball? Migrant families now stranded in Mexico. What's the World Cup experience been like?
It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
You get one beautiful life to live. What are you going to do?
This show is so fun, but having you as a positive force means really the world to me.
Jenna doesn't stop till it's sold, okay?
We have this circle of women that love each other.
I decided I'm going to go with the rhythm of life.
And you love riding the wave.
This is a moment we're in right now. This is really electric. Yeah, I love you too. You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
For Dateline Premium, subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.
This is what it looks and feels
What's the latest film? The bigger piece of the puzzle.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
How much water ultimately will be forced inland?
Whenever it happens, wherever you are, NBC News, streaming free now.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
It's the best time of the morning. Time for that pop start, baby.
I'm feeling the vibe today on the show.
You've got your own production company, taking the reins of your career, right? Controlling some production. This film, by the way, Jordan Peele, Daniel Kaluuya's production companies involved there. Is that cool for you to put your stamp on a project? That's when you do it with your production company, say, I've got some say in what this is going to look like and who's going to be in it and all that?
Well, it's nice because, in and of itself, it's a collaborative process, right? So anytime you feel like, there's something you can offer to make something better or make something more authentic, whatever the word you want to use is, and then someone listens and you feel valued in that. Yes, it's really great. And it's great to see your little logo.
Yeah.
Because for so long, that part is just a dream. It's not like you're like, oh, I want a production company and you get it. You've got to really go get it.
You've got to earn that too. You've got to have the clout that your stamp on a project means something. That's a lot of 20, 25 years of work, right, to get there.
Yeah.
You had another incredible validation of your career when you were asked to host the Oscars this year.
Oh,
what was that phone call like when they said, would you come and host the Oscars?
That was really scary. It was scary. It's wonderful, but it's also terrifying. You're like, oh my gosh, that's especially when you're doing it with 2 amazing women who are stand-ups, and I'm not a stand-up. But they were wonderful and gracious and kind, and so I was really fortunate to be able to have both of them. I mean, it was, scary because we're like, well, if it bombs, it's live. Like, this is it, So you don't know obviously you don't know what to expect, right? We got the unexpected.
Yes.
But it was a lot of fun.
What was it like to step out there that first time and know, the world's watching, it's the three of us, we're dressed up, we're ready to go. No matter how much you rehearse, I imagine that's like a moment.
Once you're there, you do the carpet and you're like, wow, this is the carpet. And then it's kind of surreal because you've watched the Oscars, so many times. But I do remember Amy Schumer was like, can we pray? And we held hands and we said a prayer and the door went up and that was kind of it. We should have prayed harder. I think we should have prayed a little harder. Can you imagine it without the prayer? But and then we went out and then we had fun. At that point you just let it go and you just what works and you're like we're gonna go have fun.
You were so good. The bit where you were calling the actors backstage for testing, to me that was what I will remember. That was so good. Since you brought it up, what was it like to be there when the moment happened? What was going on backstage? What were you guys doing?
Ironically, in Regina Hall fashion, I had literally gone to my trailer And so I had missed the commotion, to be honest. And so I did not really know. I will say it was an impromptu night as a whole. When I did my bit and the guys walked on stage, that wasn't scripted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a really fun, interactive night. So as a whole, I don't know that if you were in the audience that anyone knew what was happening or not happening.
By the way, it felt that way on TV too.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be part of the show and part of the bit.
Yeah.
So what was your reaction afterward?
Well, they're two people and two men who I really respect greatly. I love their work, and I've worked with Chris, and he's great, and you know, I've met Will several times, and he's great, and obviously I've worked and know Jada, so you know, it was just, it wasn't a highest moment for anyone, I don't think. I don't think for him, I don't think for anyone. I think we were all surprised, and you know, my prayers go to everyone involved in this situation, because I'm sure it can't be easy. But I still had a great time. I still feel like all the actors, you know, that we celebrated that night felt great. And like, I still feel really proud of the night as a whole. And you know, life happens.
You should be. You were great.
Thank
you.
you.
Were great. That's not an easy job. And you were really good. As is your movie. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
It's so nice to talk.